You're listening to the Candid Comms podcast with Rachel Miller. Tune in for practical advice and inspirational ideas to help you focus on all things internal communication related. Hello and welcome to the show. Today's episode is focused on you and how you learn about internal communication. And as ever, you will leave with one thing to know, one thing to do, and one thing to think about. Are you ready? Let's get started. How do you learn about internal communication? Does it feel like you have time to learn? Maybe you're listening to this thinking, well, Rachel, this is how I'm learning about internal communication. I'm listening to your podcast. I'm hearing you talk about the world of internal comms, what to do, what not to do, what to avoid. Excellent. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for choosing to learn with me about internal communication. Something I want you to know are the choices that are available to you to help you learn. Podcasts for sure is one way that you can learn. And particularly there's so many different free ones that are available now as well. If you're choosing to listen to Candid Comms because you want to increase your skills, your knowledge and your confidence as an internal communicator, you're in the right place. Thank you for choosing to listen. Through this episode, I'm going to share with you some other techniques and other things that are available to help you learn about the wonderful world of internal communication. I've been working in this field since 2003 and I still feel like I've got so much more to learn. I think the day that you say you've learned everything about a particular subject is the day you stop learning and the day you cease to be relevant in whatever your chosen field is. If I think just about the last few years, for example, if I think about the pandemic years in particular, I had to learn so much so quickly, as we all did if you were working in internal comms at that time. We suddenly had to become subject matter experts in things like hybrid working, creating senses of belonging inside organisations, communicating with furloughed workers. I'd never communicated any of those topics before. I had done a little bit on belonging, but didn't really know it as belonging. I think the rise of belonging happened because suddenly our people were apart from each other in many organisations. So we need to continuously learn about organisations and people and what makes them tick. We need to keep up to date with the latest comms channels and the latest changes that are happening in the field of internal communication to make sure that we remain relevant and to make sure that we're giving the right advice and guidance inside our organisations, that it's focused on what other people are doing in the industry at the moment and we're able to benchmark. Now, I wonder how you feel listening to me saying all of that. I know from all the conversations that I have with clients and comms friends, the immense pressure that people working inside organisations feel today. It feels like a luxury to spend time thinking about your own professional development and finding the time to read the blogs, listen to the podcast, do whatever it is that you need to do to improve your professional development and learn about internal comms. I hear you. I know how difficult it is. I'm constantly multitasking. I know we're told you shouldn't multitask. I'm always multitasking. I'm always listening to a podcast while I've got 3 young children and I seem to spend a lot of my time folding and hanging up washing. My husband and I both do it. Please don't think this is just me doing this in my household. We have a very equal household. But more often than not, I find myself when I'm folding up washing feeling like I could be using this time more productively. And that's my time. That's when I've normally got a podcast on, or maybe some 90s dance music. But that's a whole topic for another day. So when I'm folding up washing, I will be listening to podcasts and I'm trying to learn where I can. And thank you for choosing to have me in your ears right now if you are similarly multitasking, whatever you might be doing at the moment. When thinking about our own professional development as internal communicators, I think there are multiple ways that we can learn, but it's finding what suits you. If you don't have any budget for learning, then I've got lots of free resources that you're very welcome to access. There's 1,800 blog posts at allthingsic.com/blog. I have been writing my blog since 2009, and it is full of advice and guidance that you can access whenever you need it. There are toolkits and templates and guest posts on there. There are book recommendations, there are podcast recommendations, there are brilliant internal communicators sharing their stories. Another way to learn about the reality of internal communication today is through award entries. Now, that's either reading them as a judge, as I do. I've been a judge for industry awards for, I don't know how long, probably about 10 years, I think. And I regularly say yes to judging awards because I love seeing what's going on inside organisations. I'm super curious, which is one of the behaviours that we need to have to be effective internal communicators, according to the Institute of Internal Communication. I'm curious about what happens inside companies. I want to know how internal comms happens. And therefore, when you're reading award entries, it's written in black and white. You've got, hopefully, strong objectives. You've got what the problem was that they were trying to solve, or what the campaign was that they were creating. You've got what they did, how things were executed, and how they measured. And every single time I find myself learning so much. I find it utterly fascinating to watch the videos and read what people are saying and read their measurement. I'm always under non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, so I never talk about what I've seen, and I can never write about what I've seen, and I can't often say the criteria or the category that I've judged either. But from a professional development perspective, my goodness me, it's incredibly valuable for me. So there's two schools of thoughts there. Either you could be an industry award judge, and why not see what's happening locally in your country or your region, see what awards are out there that you could possibly volunteer to take part and be a judge for, or why not look up award entries online? If you've won an award and you want to share your story, why not come and guest blog for somewhere like my website, the All Things IC website? I love it when people win awards and they come and share the story behind the headline. I find it so helpful to learn from things like that. So that's what I want you to know. What's out there that you could access? I'll include some links in the show notes at allthingsic.com/podcast in the show notes for this episode of some things I recommend that you could tap into and that you could read. The second part of our conversation is what you can do. So if you have some budget for training, if you have some budget where you can have some time to learn, then there are even more opportunities available to you. I run a whole suite of training courses for internal communicators, and my team and I have a whole variety for you to choose from. This year, as I'm recording this podcast, 2023, is the 10th birthday of All Things IC, and it's our experimental year. We've been trying all sorts of different things this year to really support and encourage and nurture internal communicators around the globe. And one of the things that we've been doing are 90-minute masterclasses. Now, these are all online. We host them via Teams and they're not recorded. So these are live sessions where you can come together with a group of peers, and we are hosting them at times that are appropriate for comms friends outside of the UK and Europe to join in as well. Dan in my team has been getting up super early. Some of them are starting at 4 a.m. UK time, which is much more compatible with the working day in other parts of the world, particularly for our comms friends in Australia and New Zealand. So I'll include a link in the show notes to some of the topics that we've got coming up, and we cover all sorts of different topics. And the fact they're 90 minutes is reflective of the fact that we know you feel under pressure to learn, and we know that you may not have the budget and you also may not have the time. So a 90-minute masterclass hopefully fits into your day. You might have the inclination, you might be inclined, you might really want to learn, but you don't have access to a big budget and you don't have access to lots and lots of time to fit in your own professional development. So that's where the 90-minute masterclasses come in. And there is a whole range of topics to choose from auditing to change communication to working well with line managers. And all of those topics I'll share in the show notes for you so you can see what they are. And they're £199. So they've been designed to be more accessible for people. My team and I also offer power hours and mentoring. And part of the reason for offering these is Caroline, Dan and I are all chartered PR practitioners. We've all spent many years working in-house as internal communicators, and we understand the reality of your role. We spend all day, every day working with in-house internal comms friends, and we love doing so. If I think about my own in-house career, if I had the opportunity to pick up the phone or jump on a Teams call with somebody who'd been working in internal comms for longer than me, who wasn't connected to my organisation, who could give me an impartial view in a safe space, confidential, no judgment, and who I could just book a 1-hour call with, oh my goodness, that would have made the biggest difference for me. There's so many times particularly when I'd been working in very senior roles, where I had nobody I could ask for advice from, and I had to test my ideas as I was sharing them inside my organisation. You're very visible, you're very vulnerable when you're working in internal communication. If you don't have a team around you, if you don't have mentors, if you don't have people you can ask, I'm really aware of that. I really recognise the gap that I felt when I was working in-house. So that's the problem that we're trying to solve to help you learn. So we offer things like consultancy and mentoring and power hours. And we even do a 30-minute call, not even a power hour. We do a 30-minute call where if you need advice and guidance, you can go to allthingsic.com, you can get in touch and you can book a call and we can support you. We can advise you and talk things through in a non-judgmental way, in a confidential space where we won't share with anyone else that we've had a conversation with you, but we will help you learn so then you can go and be your super visible self inside your organisation, knowing that you've created an opportunity to test your thinking and hear yourself describe whatever it is you're going to say internally to someone who understands internal communication, who can build on your ideas and increase your skills, your knowledge and your confidence. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I will leave you with something to think about. See you in a moment. Candid Comms is brought to you by All Things IC. My brilliant team and I offer consultancy, training and mentoring to help you thrive in your internal communication role. You can choose from online learning, in-person and bespoke courses. Topics range from measurement to strategy and how to be an internal communicator. See allthingsic.com for more information and use the code Candid Comms at the checkout to save 10%. If you're struggling with your internal communication, help is at hand. We can mentor you, conduct audits, advise on your channels and much more. Contact us via hello@allthingsic.com and we'll talk it through together. Welcome back. You will have just heard me talking about online masterclasses, and I'm going to close this episode today by sharing with you something I want you to think about, which is whether online learning could work for you. I first launched online masterclasses in 2020, and over the past few years I have added to the roster of the courses that are available for you to access. Feedback from comms friends showed that you didn't want to feel under pressure to complete learning in a set time. So these courses have been designed with you in mind. When you sign up to an online masterclass, there are no live lessons. These are your courses done at your pace and in your own way. You have 12 months from the date you enrol in your chosen online masterclass to complete the course. Now, you don't have to do it like that. Some people do. They log in once a month and they invest in their professional development once a month to learn about internal communication, and it takes them a year. Sometimes people get in touch and say, I need a bit longer, Rachel, please can you extend it? And I'm always open to having that conversation. So if you're listening and you've bought an online masterclass and it's expired and you keep thinking about it, send me a note, hello@allthingsic.com. Let me know. Let's have a chat and figure out whether we can extend it for you. So some people choose to do it over the course of 12 months. Other people decide to work their way through their online masterclass in a much shorter time. Most of the classes you could complete in 1 to 2 days, depending on the length of the course, but most of them within 2 days, if you're really going at it and really working through watching all the videos, downloading the workbooks, you're doing the surveys, you're doing the quizzes, you're doing the text lessons. You could complete most of those topics in 2 days. Some of the more detailed ones, like how to write an internal communication strategy, I would give yourself a bit longer because you've got some work to do there, particularly in the mindset and insights part of that course where you are gathering evidence about your organisation and your people. So you'd struggle to do that within 2 days. It would take you a bit longer. But the choice is yours. When you sign up to an online masterclass, you can decide at which pace you would like to go. If you are doing an online masterclass, which is the VIP option, then that means you submit assignments to me. And I love these courses because you get personalised feedback. You can share your thoughts with me. And I promise you, I am the person who does that. I go through what you've written and I personally go through and I annotate what you've done and I give my impressions and I share my advice and I send it back to you. So well done to you if you have studied an online masterclass with All Things IC over the past few years. I know how hard you've worked on those courses, and particularly from reading the assignments on the VIP ones as well. Having that real visibility of the depth of your thinking and the things that you're trying in your organisations are fantastic. So well done to you. If you've completed a course, you'll have a badge that you can display online on your LinkedIn or your social profiles to share that you've completed a course. So well done to you. There is a whole range of topics available and we're adding to them all the time. I've written all of the courses and they range from how to be an internal communicator, that's how to be an effective internal communicator, how to start out working in this field, to an introduction to internal communication channels, how to create a 90-day plan, and that's ideal if you've just started a brand new internal communication role, you've just got a new job or you've just been promoted, for example. It guides you through your first 3 months. All of the content is jargon free, it's super practical, super actionable, and you can access all of this content at your own pace. If you want to learn more about perhaps how to be a comms consultant, you're thinking about leaving your in-house career and setting up as a comms consultant, I've got a course on that. If you want to learn about hybrid working, if you want to learn about how to measure internal communication, you'll find all of these topics covered via online masterclasses. The dedicated website is allthingsic.thinkific.com. And don't forget to use the code that I shared with you, Candid Comms, at the checkout to save 10%. You can also buy bundles of courses too. I've just completed writing a book on internal communication. It's 80,000 words full of advice and guidance. I've written it to be the book that I wish I had when I was working in-house. It's for you if you are trying to build a team, if you're trying to influence your stakeholders, if you're trying to write an internal communication strategy, and it guides you through the Miller framework, which is the framework I've developed to help organisations create internal communication strategies. But as part of that, I've also covered lots of the topics that I've just spoken about, and also issues which are facing the industry today, from influencing at C-suite level to communicating with neurodivergent employees inside our organisations, and much more. If you're listening beyond May 2024, you can get hold of the book today. It's called Internal Communication Strategy: Design, Develop and Transform Your Organisational Communication, and it's published by Kogan Page. If you're listening before May 2024, then you can pre-order the book via your favourite bookstore. Full information can be found on the All Things IC website, or why not search for the book as Internal Communication Strategy by Rachel Miller. My intention for this book is not something that you just read once, but it's something you can have to hand as your all-in-one guide to working strategically as an internal communicator. I would love in a few years' time to see photographs of copies that have been highlighted and have got post-it notes in and are pretty much falling to pieces because internal communicators have found it really useful. That's what I'm manifesting. That's what I really hope to see. I've written it in a way to be super useful for internal communicators. So I really hope, thank you for everyone who's pre-ordered it already. I really hope if you've read the book or if you've got access to it, that it equips and it empowers and it inspires you to be brilliant at internal communication, and it builds on all of your skills, your knowledge and your confidence to help you thrive in internal communication. That's my intention with the book, and I'd love to know how you get on with it. And finally, the last way you can learn about all things internal communication related is All Things IC Live. These are quarterly masterclass and mastermind days that I'm hosting in London throughout 2024. See the website allthingsic.com for full information. These days are open to up to 25 in-house internal communicators at a time. We will get together and solve your comms conundrums in person. See the website for full information and to save your place today. We are also offering the All Things IC Live Pass. This enables you to buy tickets for all of the upcoming sessions at a discounted rate. That's allthingsic.com and check out the All Things IC Live website, which will be listed in the show notes. As ever, I love hearing from you. Do get in touch and let me know what you're taking away from this episode. Why not look me up on LinkedIn? You can find me under Rachel Miller. I'm Rachel All Things IC on Instagram, or why not send me a message via the website hello@allthingsic.com. Do tell me what you're taking away from this episode and what you hope to do differently as a result of listening to Candid Comms. And remember, what happens inside is reflected outside. See you again soon.